Great. Thank you all for attending today's Feedback Genius webinar on getting product reviews with Feedback Genius. We hope today that we will be able to provide you some valuable information on Amazon, the Feedback Genius tool, some tips and tricks for getting reviews from your organic sales on Amazon, and some best practices that some of our customers have been using. If you have any questions, please ask within the chat box. We do have our customer service team on the webinar, and they will address your questions either directly in the chat box or we'll follow up with you afterwards. Like I said, my name is Jeff Cohen, and I run the business development team for Seller Labs. I've been in e-commerce for over 13 years. I started and managed the retail website textbooks.com. As well as running some online book sales, as well as sporting goods sales through the Amazon platform. Seller Labs, which we thank you all for being customers of, was really born from Amazon sellers. We were really designed out of a need to have software that we were using to run our own business, and we realized that the market needed, which is really why Feedback Genius was an innovator in its automation technology and still is an innovator today. Recently, Seller Labs was named the #1 most innovative young tech startup in the Atlanta area by the Atlanta 10 organization. And we really form our organization on 3 pillars, which are here for you as customers. 1 is the innovation of our technology. 2 is a dedicated customer service team, which is always here to help either by chat, phone, webinars, email. And then finally is content, providing webinars like this, our blog, if you haven't checked out our blog lately, as well as other PDFs and white papers. Today's presentation, which we will make the slides available to everybody, so don't feel like you have to write a bunch of notes as just take some time and listen, and we will follow up with the slides to everybody who attends. We're going to cover why reviews are important, how to generate reviews, what are elements of a good or a bad email, and then what are some examples and tips of what people are doing today. I expect the presentation to run about 30 to 35 minutes, and then hopefully we'll be able to get into some good Q&A. So please post your questions in the chat. So why are reviews important? Well, there's really 3 reasons that we believe reviews are important. First and foremost, if you have a private label or a brand on Amazon, reviews and conversions are the 2 main factors which drive your Amazon search rank. 2, your reviews are really the trust that you build with you and your community. That is the opportunity for somebody who's searching for a product to understand whether your product will meet their needs. And finally, it's reputation. Now, this is the reputation of your product, which goes back to trust, but it's also the reputation of your brand. As you look to build on Amazon, off Amazon, or offline, the reputation of your brand becomes very important. The big question, does size matter? Obviously, size matters when it comes to Amazon, because Amazon represents a very large portion of the internet sales that are occurring today. 253 million products are currently being sold on Amazon, and there's over 2 million third-party sellers like yourself. But ultimately, Amazon represents almost 50% of the current US online sales. And that's pretty crazy. Where else can you obtain access to that type of audience? I'm just going to read this even though it's on your screen. Almost 1/3 of people looking to buy something started on Amazon. That's more than twice the number who went straight to Google. And if you look into the bottom left-hand corner, you can actually see that quote is from the chairman of Google, Eric Schmidt. If you look back at the history of the internet, when we first learned about this thing called the internet, we would come here and we would search for generic terms, or we would search for branded terms. Sorry, we would say, I want a Coca-Cola. Let's go to Coca-Cola.com. Then that kind of moved into the world of generic terms. I want a soda. I'm going to look for soda.com. Then the world of search engines really took over, and Google became the main place that we went for everything. We would go to Google and we would search for every single thing we wanted. But in the last few years, the web has become very personalized down to the sites that we have a site for shopping, Amazon. We have a site for travel. Maybe you go to Travelocity or you go to Kayak. You have a site for social media, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, wherever it is. But you're no longer going to Google to do your generic searches. You're going directly to the site where you know and you've built trust. But when you're located on Amazon, if you're not in the right place, you don't really exist. So you can't be on page 2 or page 3 for your search term. You need to be on page 1. Because shoppers don't go past page 1 when they're looking for an item. They look for the first set of items and they see if they can find the item that they're looking for. If not, they'll try another search. But do customers actually trust the reviews they see online? There's a lot of data on this screen, so let me walk you through a little bit. The first chart, when people were asked, was if there are multiple customer reviews, do they trust them? And currently in 2014, 32% said yes. 30% of those people also believe that those reviews are authentic and real. And they also believe that they're for some type of business and not for others. They believe in the reviews. But only 13% said that they do not trust the reviews online as much as personal recommendations. So that means that 87% of the people who were surveyed in this survey trust the reviews as much as a personal recommendation. So this is just one survey on trust and reputation. Let's look at another one. According to Nielsen, 92% of consumers trust peer reviews over word of mouth, over any other type of advertising. So they're trusting these reviews over banner ads and all the other ways that people are driving people to the site. So now that we know that reviews are trusted and we know that Amazon search is important, let's see how it affects your reputation. As you're building a brand online, consumers look to Amazon to validate your product, and they look off of Amazon to validate your company. So as you build company websites to complement your Amazon listing, your reputation begins to go back and forth. As you build your business and you look to move off of Amazon and into other channels, or you look to work with larger suppliers, your reputation on Amazon becomes very critical in how you've handled your previous business. So now that we understand about trust and reputation and reviews, let's see what Amazon actually says about reviews. Well, it's good because they actually say that you can request reviews from your buyers. However, you cannot make any attempt to manipulate the reviews. So let's go into a little bit more detail about what's not allowed by Amazon. These are things that will get you in trouble. If you have a financial interest in the product that you're writing a review, you'll get in trouble. If you are providing any type of compensation other than a free or discounted product for the review, you'll get in trouble. So an example of this would be, if you leave a review for my product, I will give you a gift card. That is not allowed per the Amazon terms of service. If you say, I'm only looking for positive reviews. Only leave me positive reviews. That will get you in trouble. You need to accept reviews, whether they're good or bad. And ultimately, reviews should help you with your business. And you add trust to your reviews if every review is not a 5-star. Everybody seeks 5-star reviews, but ultimately, you want a combination of real reviews from real users who are giving you feedback on both how to improve your product and how your product is perceived by the marketplace. If you do get a negative review, you cannot ask your buyer to either edit or remove the review. Now, with that being said, if there's a customer service issue, you can address that with your customer by offering them a refund or an exchange of the product. But at no time should you specifically ask them to actually remove the review. When dealing with reviews, we like to keep it simple and keep it simple, stupid. KISS, right? We've all heard this term. If you have a good product to review, ask for a review, and then make the review process simple. So we broke this down into 3 easy steps right here, but we're going to go into this in a little bit more detail and highlight each parts of this. We like to say at Seller Labs, good products get good reviews. So if you're getting bad products, there's a chance that maybe you have a bad product and you actually need to make a change. It's okay for you to ask for the review. If you don't ask for the review, you're never going to get the review. And we already shared that Amazon tells you that you are allowed to ask for the review. And then making the review process simple, well, that's where Feedback Genius comes into play, because we can offer your customers a very simple link to go from our message directly to leaving a review. So why would a customer leave you a review? Well, ultimately, you need to give them a reason why. And we like to talk a lot about messages being personal because people want to help out other people. It's human nature to help other people. They typically don't want to help corporations, right? The corporations are the big bad people. And so while it's important that you get your corporate brand across and that you explain to people that you are a corporate brand, you also want them to understand that you're a person that's running this business. People don't always understand all of the elements of Amazon as well as we do. We understand that there are first-party sellers, Amazon, and third-party sellers, marketplace sellers. Most shoppers just buy their product from Amazon. We understand there's a difference between feedback for a seller and feedback for a product. Most shoppers don't understand the difference. They might not understand why you're asking for one or why leaving a review for you helps. So by being personable with your customer, you're going to have a better chance of relating with them and ultimately driving them to leave you a review. So how do we make it personal? Well, tell them why their review matters. Again, let them know you're a real person, and we'll show you some examples of how you let them know you're a real person. Enhance their experience and give them something that they're not expecting. They know they're getting emails from Amazon telling them that their order is confirmed, that their shipping's confirmed, that their product's out there. So what else can you do to enhance your experience? And then ultimately, while you're a brand and you want to have a corporate image and look to your emails, be personable with a name. Share a name. If you don't want to share your name, make a name up. It really doesn't matter whether it's Sally or whether it's Bill. So when do you ask? Because ultimately timing is everything in this. And the best time to ask a customer for a review is when they're most happy. And that sounds like a very generic answer, but if you think about it, you need to really look at your product and determine when a customer is most happy using your product. So for instance, if you have a product like a beauty product that has to be applied and used, maybe you want to wait a couple of days. If you have a product like a toy, that's something that as soon as they open the box, they're going to begin to use it. You want to get that review request early when they're most happy. So Feedback Genius gives you several timing triggers, and we've actually added a new one, and we're going to share that with you guys today. So confirmed order, and you need to determine the best way for you to use these different timing triggers. Confirmed order is once the order is confirmed with Amazon. So make sure you understand exactly what that means. That's not when it's ordered, and it's not when it's shipped. It's when it's confirmed, which means the product has been processed for shipping, okay? Which is when the customer's credit card actually gets charged. A shipped order is when the product is actually left Amazon and it's gone to the shipping warehouse for whichever shipping provider was chosen. Out for delivery is when the product is actually out the morning of to actually be delivered. Delivered means it's been dropped at their doorstep. And then the new feature that we added, which is positive seller feedback, is a trigger that allows you to target a message specifically to somebody who has already left seller feedback. And we'll get into each of these now in a little bit more detail as to how you would use each of these triggers. So when constructing your messages around timing triggers, you want to change your message based on what the trigger is. So if the package has not been delivered, meaning that it's been confirmed or shipped or out for delivery, you don't want to ask for a review. It's too early. They don't even have the product yet. What you want to do is give them a chance to enhance their experience, set up a communication for customer service, develop some type of rapport with the shopper, and explain to them who your brand is. So let's get into each of these, and these are kind of some bullet points that you can use when you're constructing your messages. For all those in attendance, we're also going to send out some email templates that will actually show you examples of how to do these three things when sending a message based on order shipped or any of the triggers prior to that. So we want to build excitement, right? This is where they're expecting the product, you've shipped the product, you're excited that they're going to get the product and they're going to be using the product. This is where you want to build the anticipation with your customer. This is great for people to hear that their product's on the way. That you might want to, as an example, you might want to give some, if there's something that they need for the product when it arrives, that this is a great time to set that expectation with your customer, right? Let's say maybe they need batteries for the product to work, or you're doing a garlic press. You might want to suggest that they go out and get garlic so that when the press arrives, they can start pressing their garlic. Set the expectation. If your product has instructions, this is a great opportunity for you to include the instructions for your customer to have the instructions prior to the product arriving. Let them know when the delivery will occur, and you can use variables within Feedback Genius to set that information in. And ultimately, let them know what to do if there's a problem, right? By setting a channel of communication up for customer service, you eliminate the potential of bad reviews because they're going to reach out to you if there's a problem as opposed to posting it. Make it personal. We stress this over and over again, and of all the account reviews that we do, and we do a lot of them on a regular basis, the number one thing we tell people is add your brand, your story to the message. If you're doing this for a particular reason, if you're doing this for a particular charity, if you're doing this because it got you out of some rut in life, share that story with your customer so they understand that. If you're selling something patriotic and you used to be in the military, tell them that you used to be in the military and that's why you sell patriotic products. That is why it matters to you, and it will connect you with your customer. So now the product's been delivered, right? You've primed them with the message prior to delivery. Now the product's been delivered. This is what we call the optimal time for happiness, right? This is your first chance to ask them for a review. Now that review could be seller feedback or it could be product review. And we're going to get into some email chains here in a minute. And we'll talk about why you would do one or would do the other. But ultimately, you want to lead with customer service. So let's look a little bit deeper into this. So once the product's been delivered, this is where you want to really rekindle that excitement, right? Like, hey, you've got your product. We're so happy that you got it. And we want to make sure that you're having the best experience you could ever have. This is where you'll want to include bonus information. So if you promise them some recipes or your 5 tips for using the product, this is where you'll want to include that now that the product's been delivered. Yes, if you've already sent them the instructions, you can send them again. How many times have you gotten instructions and you've lost them? Okay, that is totally acceptable to send the instructions over and over again. They'll still email you and they'll ask you to send them once again. The bonus information is where you enhance the experience and you give them something that they're not expecting. And that's what you want to do to get that review. And then ultimately, you have to have the call to action. And we recommend that you only have one call to action per email. Now, let me explain a little bit. You can still tell them if they have a problem to contact your customer service. Your call to action is the main action you are asking for within the email. This is either for the seller review or the product review. So, positive seller feedback. It's another timing trigger. So we've gone through the timing trigger of prior to the product being delivered, the product being delivered, and then seller feedback. Once a shopper has given you positive seller feedback, they are more likely than not to take the extra time to give you a review for your product. This is where they've already shown excitement towards you, and now you can come back and you can speak to them. So when you're talking to a shopper who's giving you positive seller feedback, you want to thank them and let them know you appreciate them taking the time. Then take a second and explain the difference between seller feedback and product feedback. And that's really important to do because they don't always know that one is the other, right? We all see that product feedback gets put in as seller feedback and seller feedback gets put in as product feedback. But this is a great opportunity, and you can automate this all now through Feedback Genius. Keep this message short and sweet, right? You don't need to explain anything from the past because you've already gotten them to take an action, and you're just looking for them to take one little extra action, and then simply ask for that product review. Post-delivery. So this is after your product's been delivered and you're going to send a message 3, 5, 7, 14, 30 days after the product's arrived. You want the follow-up to occur until you get the review without going overboard. So we like to recommend 2 to 3 emails per order. We have seen customers do more. And you just have to kind of get the feel for where your optimal level is for getting conversions. You want to make sure you don't over message the customer, and that if you're going to continue to message them, make sure you enhance the experience. And we talk a lot about personalization, and we talk a lot about enhancing the experience. So if you're going to message them at delivery, 3 days after delivery, 10 days after delivery, 20 days after delivery, find additional information about your product to share, whether it be extra tips, whether it be additional recipes, whether it be an extra ebook or something like that. But ultimately, if you can continue to enhance the experience and communicate with your customer about the purchase, you increase your likelihood of getting the review and not being ignored. So ultimately, going back to the points, I think we just covered a lot of these. Again, remember to have the CTA, the call to action, within your message. So what does a email flow look like? Well, we really kind of talk about two email flows for product reviews. And either of these flows can easily be done on Feedback Genius. And if you have any specific questions about that, our customer service team would be happy to help. Your first email in your email flow should be somewhere prior to the order being delivered. So that could be on confirmed, on shipped, on out for delivery. When you're messaging, if you go back to the points we talked about earlier, when you're messaging within that, make sure that you're not giving the call to action in that first email, but that you're setting up the relationship within that email. In your second email, that's when the package is delivered, or a day or so after the package is delivered. And you need to adjust your timing based on your product and how your product is used. A lot of people are looking for a cookie cutter template that they can push one button and it can generate everything they need for their product. But the truth of the matter is that each of you have unique products, and each product, whether it be a home good product, a sporting good product, a outdoor product, requires that you craft your message slightly differently and that you set your triggers slightly differently. And then finally, you would come back with your message after the package has been delivered. On all of these messages in this flow, you have one call to action. All you're looking for within this is you're looking for product reviews. Don't confuse your users if this is the flow you want and jump back and forth between seller review and product review and then product review and seller review. Stay focused on the call to action that you're looking for. Now, with the new trigger of positive feedback, a tactic that a lot of sellers are using is to search for the positive feedback and then use the positive feedback to convert to product reviews. The reason why you may want to try this technique is that it eliminates negative reviews because it does not solicit reviews unless those reviews were already positive. So if you get a negative product review listed as a seller review, you can contact Amazon and have that review removed. But if you get a negative product review, you cannot get that removed. This series, by soliciting the seller feedback, allows you to go directly after the customer for seller feedback, which is a really easy thing for them to give, and then to trigger a message based on positive seller feedback, looking for positive feedback. So let's look at some messages that I like. We're going to be wrapping up here in about 10 minutes. So if you have any questions, please get these into our question area and our team will start teeing them up for me. So why do I like this message? This customer is asking directly for a product review. So you can see there's one call to action right in the middle. Can you please provide feedback here? And it's a product review. He's just saying, I have a simple favor to ask. So he's using bold text to drive the user to the information that he wants. And most importantly, this customer is actually giving more. So this is what we all see as a very typical email that we're sending. But what this customer that you can't see on this email is that they go on. So underneath the tagline of thank you, and they tag it with a female name, underneath that, they actually go into more detail. They say, P.S. If you're doing this with your product, please consider showing a picture or a video. And then to even encourage the users to do videos or pictures within their product reviews, they're actually offering a monthly drawing of all the pictures that are posted. And then they actually go into more details and they start sharing interesting facts about their product. And instead of including them as an attachment, they actually include them directly in the email. So why would you include them directly in the email instead of an attachment? Well, a lot of people are afraid to open attachments these days. So if you have an attachment, there's a likelihood that that attachment never gets opened. By including it in the email, you provide a lot of additional information. So if your product has some 5 tips or 7 tricks or my favorite recipe or important dates, maybe consider testing and instead of doing an attachment, including those within the email. Attachments are still great ways to deliver larger pieces of content to your customers, but this is just another tip or trick that somebody else is doing. So here's an example of somebody who's starting by asking for seller feedback. And you can actually see that the underlying text, I did not underline that. That's actually how they send it out. They're actually telling them, please leave please leave a rating based on the following criteria. And they're using that to then set up their follow-up email, which is triggered off of the positive seller feedback. So you can actually use the information within the system to try to enhance the experience, right? They're saying the available tracking information shows that your product's been delivered. So they're actually letting the customer know, I know that this product's been delivered. And that's something that Feedback Genius does that no other service in the industry does. So while a lot of services that offer automation will give you emails based on estimated delivery, Feedback Genius actually has integration in with the carriers that gives you actual delivered information. So we know that the package has actually been dropped at the door. We're not just anticipating that drop occurring. So it's really important that you message your customers in that manner and you let them know what you know. You're enhancing their experience, then you ask them for that feedback. This was an email that one company was using, and I thought it was interesting because it was a bit different than what we had traditionally seen. And they got pretty good results within their system on how this was working. And essentially, the way this would look is you would actually see, yes, I am happy. So the email to the customer, and I actually put this up here with the variable links so you can actually see how the variable links look. The customer actually sees, it says, are you happy with the name of the product? Yes, I'm happy. No, I'm not. When they click on yes, I'm happy, it takes them to a product review link. If they click on no, I'm not happy, it takes them to a customer service link, giving them the opportunity to express their issues with the product. As I said, this customer was able to see double-digit review rates for their products and reduce their negative product reviews significantly by offering the channel directly within the message. Finally, you can be bold, right? And we're going to talk about some final tips here as we wrap up. But ultimately, you want to tell your customers that their opinion matters, that very few people are currently leaving reviews and that you need their review to help your business. It only takes 15 seconds. Let them know that this isn't a 20-page survey they have to fill out. It's just going to take them a very short amount of time. And then you can move from this to the product review and move them right into obtaining that product review. Being bold, asking for the review. So we've given you a lot of tips. We've shown you some examples. We've talked about how to use seller feedback to drive product reviews. We've talked about driving product reviews with Feedback Genius and the different triggers that Feedback Genius has. But this is not a set it and forget it type product. You have to always be testing your product. And these are the 5 elements within your emails that you should be testing. Now, Feedback Genius has 2 analytics packages. Our basic analytics package is going to show you your open and your click rate within your emails. And then our advanced package will actually allow you to do A/B testing, where you can compare 2 emails to one another where you're running them simultaneously. So if you're not using the A/B testing email, you can just change your messages and see if you get the desired result that you're looking for. Let's quickly go through some ideas to test. Within timing, test whether the email should go out when the product's delivered, a day after delivery, 3 days after delivery, 5 days after delivery. You have a lot of variables within timing that you can test to figure out the optimal time for your product. The message. There's obviously a lot you can do within the message, but don't just feel like you should take a templated message and set it and forget it. Change the language. Try different techniques of bold, of highlighting, of italics, of underlining. Those are the things that get people's attention. We as humans have become very fast in everything we do, and we don't want to read everything that's given to us. So keep it simple, stupid, and focus on the points of the message that you want your customers to take action on. The subject line. The subject line is a great piece to be testing. I had a customer who said to me that they changed their subject line to a question, and they got a significant increase in their open rate. So instead of saying, please review my product, say, would you like to share your opinion about product name with a question mark? Testing your subject line gets the customer to get from the inbox to opening your actual email. It's one of the most critical pieces of the funnel, because if they never open the email, they'll never read the rest. Logo and name. Try your logo in different positions, right? So a lot of people put their logos on the top of the email, but maybe consider your logo on the bottom underneath your signature. Name. Try female names versus male names. It depends what type of product you have. But ultimately, always be testing. I think that's what's most critical. So to kind of review some of the really important tips here, and then I'm going to get to some of your questions. Make sure you're enhancing your message, right? Amazon wants you to enhance the message to your customers. So don't talk to them about other products you sell. Don't talk to them about the weather. Talk to them about their product, why you're excited about it, why they should be excited about it, and other ways to use it. Use HTML carefully. When you use HTML in your emails, you reduce your open rate, you reduce your readability. People are checking their email in so many different places. They can check on their phone, on their watch, on their computer. So it's important that your message is readable in all of those formats. Test, and then test some more. As an Amazon seller, you should be keenly aware that Amazon is constantly testing its site. Why? Because every slight change they make that improves the conversion drives them lots of money. You should be testing your messages. A slight change in your message can give you considerable increase in the amount of reviews you're able to get. And then play around with text versus attachments. Do you really need an attachment? If you try it with text, do you get a bigger open rate? Is it improving your customer's experience? Um, Ultimately, make sure you have a call to action, and that you're making that call to action on a regular basis within your message. It's very clear what that call to action is. That's why you've got to ask, because if you don't ask, you'll never get the answer. So thank you guys for your time. I hope this has been useful and helpful. I see a lot of questions have come in. So I'm going to ask Michael to